We continue now with our special series, Education in America, Lifting Our Grade. There's always room for improvement, and the education system is no exception. But just what should the federal government's role be in how we teach our kids? Joining me now, Congressman Scott DesJarlais from Tennessee, a member of the Education and Workforce Committee. Great to see you, Congressman.
Thank you.
All right, you're on the Education Committee. How would you grade yourself? How good is the United States system of education for our kids?
Well, clearly it has deficiencies, and I think most people would agree the status quo is not acceptable.
We've got a long way to go, I think, and I want to show some numbers that help explain that. This is actually this compares New York and Utah, and what it looks at is spending per child. In New York, $18,000 spent per student. In Utah, $6,000 and change spent per student, and yet graduation rates are pretty similar. 74% in New York, almost 80% in Utah. What does that tell you?
Well, it tells you oftentimes the money isn't going where it needs to go, and piling more money into the education system isn't necessarily the answer.
You know, you talk a lot about charter schools and how charter schools are a good idea. There's even a bill in Congress right now. How would that help the education system?
Well, I think the biggest thing that charter schools do is get parents involved, and clearly that's something that's been lacking in education is parental involvement. So the charter schools are formed by parents and communities and local businesses to set standards that they feel are appropriate for their kids. And as you said, we are going to mark up a bill tomorrow, 2218, to help remove some of the barriers from forming these charter schools.
We have some of them already. Another innovation we talked a lot about on this show is the voucher programs out there. As a matter of fact, I interviewed one young fella last night, Ronald Halassi, great kid from Washington, D.C., doing horribly in school, just awful. His mother was appalled. So she finally got into a voucher program, totally turned himself around. I want you to hear what he had to say on our program last night.
It changed my life by exposing me to higher expectations, higher standards, and really just opening up more opportunities for me. The teachers were actually available after school, and I was able to actually be challenged.
He was pretty impressive. What do you make of these programs?
Well, I would say that that is a model of what we need to strive for in our public school system. So clearly, if that system's working for him, that's what we need to implement in our public school systems. And for now, until we get to that point, these voucher programs do allow children to be able to make that step and get the better education.
You know, there's a lot of conversation out there about the appropriate role of the federal government in education. Where would you draw the line? What do you think the appropriate role is? Is No Child Left Behind a good idea or a bad one?
Well, the federal involvement in education has clearly gone way beyond where it should. Some government oversight is probably necessary, but No Child Left Behind clearly has not achieved its intended goal. It was well-intentioned, but what it's done, from the conversations I've had with teachers back home, is it's handcuffed them. It's taken innovation out of the classrooms, and it's forcing them to teach to standardized testing. And so oftentimes children are not getting the education that the teachers would like to give them, but rather what they are forced to give them. So the federal mandates are burdening the teachers and their ability to help our students achieve the needed goals.
All right, that's what I hear from my friends with kids, that's for sure. Congressman DesJarlais, thanks so much for helping us out tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jerry. I appreciate you having me on.
And our series, Education in America, continues this week, culminating with a man in charge of it all.